What is going on, everybody? It's Nothing But Skills, and in today's video we are going to be showing you the skill build that I've been running in Legendary. So the build is on my channel already, and this is the build that I put out to you guys that wasn't min-max. I've been tweaking it a little bit more and more, but it's still not min-max, and this thing absolutely is amazing for the Legendary. So if you guys are having trouble with DPS builds in Legendary because you feel like you're too squishy, you feel like you don't do enough damage, we were running pretty much through start to finish. Every now and then we would switch to just one skill build, but we pretty much had two skill builds running almost exactly the same build that's on my channel. We were running the mortars, and then we were also running the seekers, and I'm gonna tell you that this thing was amazing, and it was great. It was great to be able to get rid of a lot of enemies in a short amount of time, and that's what we were able to do here. So a lot of times we were running one healer, two skill builds, and one DPS, and then sometimes we switched that DPS to a tank if we didn't really need a DPS player. But like, you just have to play with each build as you guys go through, and the more you guys play Legendary, the more you guys will figure this all out. But skill builds, they have a place. I had a question about this. I was like, hey, do skill builds have a place in Legendary missions, in harder difficulties? And when I tell you, in harder difficulties, in those Legendary missions, man, skill builds are essential. They're a lot of fun to play with, and if you're tired of just shooting stuff, well, all you skill players, this is for you. This is just to show you guys that this build works. And as you guys see this gameplay, I have a lot of really cool clips all the way through, all the way to the very end, all the way to the very end, last boss. So I tried to pick like some of the best clips where it shows like the potential of this, of when you group in those enemies, it does a lot of work. And as we're watching this gameplay here, this is the very beginning. So this is the very beginning where you're just trying to get into the arena, right? We're trying to get into District Union, and this is us on the outside, and this is where you get a lot of your first encounters with a lot of those big enemies. And remember, you should be switching up your skills depending on what you do, and I'll show you in a few. Sometimes I'm running the mortar turret, sometimes I'm running the regular turret. Now the regular turret works better against those enemies, those big tanks, because the bullets go through that armor. Now the mortar turret seems to hit them a little bit weaker when they're at full armor, but once you break their armor, then the mortar turrets work. So that's why you do kind of need a DPS player for some of the things. But the turrets, the regular gun turrets, those do work pretty good, and if you place them in the right place, the enemies won't destroy them. But if you place them right in the front, of course the enemies are going to focus those turrets and drop them. But you'll see that a lot of times I am running the mortar turret. Sometimes, like right here, I switch to the gun turret. Depending on where we are in the mission, you can always just swap those skills out as long as they're not on cooldown. That's what I really like about it. But when I tell you that these mortar turrets are really good, like they're almost a really good crowd control and destroying the crowd. Like as soon as they land, and if you get a bunch of them together, you can start getting those mortars off. And if you get an overcharged mortar, it's even better. And you're seeing that we're pushing through this pretty quick. I want to say the full run took us, this run was like 2 hours plus, and that was with one of our guys had to go eat real quick. He had to eat something. He had to go help his mom with something. Another guy ended up dying in the middle of the action, so we had to push back so the enemies would reset back in the room, and then we had to slowly go in there and then wait for our reviver hive to come back. So we did have a lot of mistakes. We had a moment where all three of us wiped because we didn't set up right, and that can happen in Legendary because, you know, one mistake can ruin everything. But there's gonna be rooms, man, where you're gonna see that these builds excel the most, and that's what I found out about this. Like, there's gonna be rooms that this excels so well that it's just crazy to see the amount of damage that these mortars do compared to what you would be able to do if you had straight DPS players, and how you can destroy mass amount of enemies really fast. And that's what I love about skill builds. Skill builds, I felt at the very beginning of Title Update 8 when they first came out, they felt different, right? It was like, dang, what happened to skill builds? They used to be so powerful. Now you can't spam your skills as much as you could in Title Update 7, but I think they did that for a reason, because it would be a little bit overpowered. You could probably run through these legendary missions, and if you could have your skills back consistently, you would probably run through these legendaries really fast. And you can still at certain moments you'll clear rooms. Like we just cleared that room really quick, and other rooms like this one take a little bit longer. When those medics drop, they drop those boxes that keep them up, right? They're healing boxes. They're crazy, and that's why with these skill builds, you see it, like there's a box right there. And look, I'm gonna put this mortar up in a second, and then I'm gonna be able to focus it with one mortar. Boom, and then it blows up. It was probably 2 mortars, but it was a little bit hurt, and then after that it's over. Like I'm in a perfect position. The mortar turret right here, this is the spot. Look at this. We're gonna start just dropping enemies left and right, left and right. It's just a perfect spot. And we have 2 skill builds right here. We have 1 tank build and a healer. No DPS builds in this area right here. And that's what's amazing about this. The fact that we can do all of this with no type of DPS players. And you guys know me, I love DPS builds. I'm a shooter, a running gun. I just want to shoot things. But this right here, this is a lot of fun too. I'm just artillery in the back, just blasting away, and it's fun. Even though I don't do any damage with my weapons, my skills are doing a lot of damage. And I hope you guys realize that skill builds will be viable in legendary missions after watching this. I do have all the way to the boss too. I'll show you some clips of the boss fight, of us clearing out all the enemies that are with the boss, and then we just have to take care of the boss. And that's what's great about this. Having skill builds on your team, I think, will make it a lot easier for a lot of you guys. So start working on those builds, start getting them together, and then you'll be able to thank me later. Like, man, I actually used a skill build in legendary and it was a lot of fun. I know there's guys who are speedrunning this a little bit faster than us, but this was our first time running as a group with these builds, so we had to like test out like our good spots. And for 2 hours, I want to say a little bit over 2 hours, that still was really good, because some of these rooms like take people just an hour to clear, because you know they're in there, they're trying to focus, and we're over here. Look, I'm not even taking really a lot of damage. Like I've been in this spot for a little bit, and I've had no trouble in killing all the enemies. So skill builds, guys, put them together. Remember, what I'll do is I will put one in the comment section for you guys, and we got a couple more scenes I'm going to show you. This one is actually really cool. This is the boss. This is near the boss fight. We have one group coming in from the top, and look at these mortars in action and the seekers in action. It's just a lot of damage. We're able to just hang out here, and once we clear this out, the boss drops down. And that's what's really cool about this right here. This whole section is done with 2 skill builds, 1 DPS player, and one healer. So I think we have what, 1 group left. Yeah, we have this guy up here, and then we have the group that's gonna come down right now. So yeah, so this is probably like, I want to say 2 minutes in. There was one section right before this that I didn't show, and then there was this section where all the enemies drop in. And I actually want to show you guys this one versus the other one, because this shows like the potential. Look when they group up and the seekers hit. It's just crazy amount of damage. And once you clear these guys out, if you guys don't know, the boss does come out, and we just have another a group of guys that come, and then once we clear them out, it's just us versus the boss. And that's when you'll see I'm gonna end up switching to an assault turret, because the regular mortar turret seems to just tickle them. You know, you got to get that backpack, you got to focus on that backpack. So once you clear out all the guys, I felt like the assault turret was a lot better. One thing we were using was the Firefly, and it seems to work a little bit, but we need to do a little bit more testing on it. I wasn't able to run it as much because one of our guys went down, well, 2 of our guys went down. I had to switch to a reviver hive, so I was never able to really take advantage of that Firefly. But one of the guys was using it, and it seemed to work a little bit on him, but I will have to do a little bit more testing on it to see how well it works. But this was just to show you that we did finish it, and I ran a skill build from start to finish. And if you need to switch to a DPS build, you can on certain parts, but it's really up to you. But I felt that us running these skill builds was perfect, and I think we could actually do it way faster than what we did. Remember, we had a little bit of breaks, we messed up a lot, and we had to reset. But the rooms, when we cleared them good with skill builds, they went really fast, and that's why I think if we can get a good run together, I'll bring you guys a little guide on how to do it, and that way hopefully maybe some of you guys can start completing these legendaries in a pretty good time, right? It took us about 2 hours, which I think we could cut down to about an hour. I don't know how much faster than that, but it really just depends on doing these a couple more times. And then once we get the builds that we use as a group, I'll be able to drop those all for you guys. So if you guys enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. If you guys want to know more about this build, check out the channel. And as always, guys, I appreciate all the support. But until the next one, nothing but skills out.